Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Biz Talk is about to happen. We got a great guest. Let's get started.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody. It's a great day in the Fusion One Lounge. I'm Glenna Hum, and over here we have our other marketing gurus, Sarah Gilliland and Kelsey Munn. And at Fusion One, we specialize in getting companies more calls and more business. And we started Biz Talk to highlight those same businesses we love and also grab some of their tips that we can all use. But before we get started, let's remind you where you can find all our broadcasts.
Okay, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page, and we always stream live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And like us also on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget about our podcast, Marketing and a Mic.
Perfect. Oh, we're so excited. And look, Gayle and I got the memo to wear pink today. So I want to welcome our
colors, and you're the lighter colors.
we're a little bit divided, but everybody looks beautiful as always this morning. So I want to take a minute to introduce our very special guest, Gayle Mason with South Oak Title. How are you doing, Gayle?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. We're really excited about this because so many people are confused about what titles are or what purpose they serve. So we are really excited to get the lowdown from you this morning.
Okay.
So we're just going to jump right in, Gayle. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your family?
Oh, goodness. I was born and raised here in Alabama and Birmingham, born here in Birmingham and raised in Tarrant. Went to high school and everything and grew up there and in the community. And then I met my husband in high school. We married at 19 and 20 years old. So we were together a long time, and I went to Jefferson State Junior College, for a little while, did some studies there. And then I ended up, we had children. I have two daughters, Stephanie and Ashley. And I have 5 wonderful grandchildren, and they're my love. They get away with murder with Gigi. Anyway, and so I've been in sales and marketing basically almost, most of my life and everything. I was a preschool teacher though, like while my girls were growing up, taught in private school, doing preschool teaching, and I loved it. And then we moved over to the Hoover area and everything. And so we raised our girls for the last 28 years, or for 28 years or better, put them through school in Hoover, so anyway, so now I live in Cahaba Heights. And so I'm still in the same industry that I joined into about 28 years ago, which is title and closing services.
And here we are.
And that's a perfect segue. So tell us more about South Oak Title. What makes it so special to you?
Oh my goodness. South Oak Title was founded in 2012 by Marcus Hunt and Robert McNerney. And it was here in Birmingham. And we're one of the fastest growing title agencies in the Southeast. And we have 8 locations, 3 locations in Tennessee and 1 in Florida. So, and we have over 100 years of combined experience in the real estate transactions. So they are an amazing company to work for. But what makes it so special to me is the people. They are wonderful to work with. We have a great team. Everyone is willing to jump in and help a customer, like no matter what the issues are. If we don't know it, we're going to find out. Mm-hmm. And so they are just awesome to work with. So that's why it's special to me.
Awesome. So what exactly is your role with South Oak?
My role with South Oak is actually in sales and marketing. So I go out and I meet customers in the banking industry and real estate industry and everything, and tell them about South Oak Title and talk about our services that we offer. And then I do a lot of training with real estate agents and in their offices. And I do a lot of customer service too. So I work with the agents exclusively, a lot of times one-to-one, and helping them to understand the importance of title insurance and what it means, to their customers, to their clients, and then also help them through the process, because sometimes there's issues on title that come about, and we got to help clear it up.
Yes, I bet you've seen a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Well, we have people joining us this morning. Let's say hello to Melissa Dixon. We also have Cindy Edmonds and LaVon Cheney. We also have Steve Johnson, and LaVon already has a question for you here, Gayle. So I'm going to go ahead and ask her question, and you can kind of see it there on the screen. Who selects which title company to use? So if someone wanted to request South Oak as their title company, would they tell their realtor or their mortgage company, or how does that work? Okay. Typically, it is the realtor that will select the title company or the closing services, but then and then sometimes it's a buyer's agent. So really, it's negotiable. They both either or. It can come from either direction, and a lot of times it's the lender. So we get it from all different directions there as far as who orders the title. But it's very important that most of the time the listing agent does. Because they take the listing and they've been marketing the property, and so then the buyer's agent comes along a lot of times and they'll present a contract, and so they'll talk about it. And if the listing agent's already done a preliminary title or something like that, then they just talk about it and negotiate that as to continue to use the title they have, and then to move along and select an attorney. Okay.
So,
perfect. Well, let's start at the beginning. When do you need title insurance?
Oh my goodness, immediately upon listing your house.
First thing.
Well, not title insurance, but a title report and everything like that. If the agent runs a preliminary title in the very beginning, it helps them to know and helps their clients to know if everything looks good on the title and there's no issues that we're looking at. Because there's 1 out of 4 title searches that exposes a title issue. And so if we get a jump on it at the very beginning, immediately upon, the listing, or either immediately upon them getting a contract on a house, that's the better thing to do, because as soon as we can get that done, we can move it on over to the lender, because the lender wants to see that title at ASAP. They want that title immediately too.
Gotcha. Okay, great.
So talking a little bit more about that, you had mentioned that it's really important to work with the realtor and to do that preliminary report as soon as possible. Can you expand on why that is so important in just the entire process, and kind of just what is title insurance? Like why do people need that? Well, like clueless. I know we need it, but what is it?
Well, that's a great question. Title insurance is about protecting your largest investment, home ownership. When you're purchasing a house, that's a lot of money you're buying. You're putting into buying a home. So you want to make sure that everything is clean, is clear, and that you are not purchasing someone else's, problems, that could arise. And so by having title insurance, you are protected as long as you own the property. So if there are any unknown or any kind of liens or judgments, or somebody come back and say, I have a claim to your property, and having title insurance, you can come back on, to us, and you can say, I've got an issue here. Someone's, put a lien on my house, or there's a lien that didn't, show. Well, then we're going to go ahead and look at that. And we have attorneys that work with us and everything, and they help us through that process of seeing and helping them clear up that. So if there is an issue after the fact, then they file a claim. Mm-hmm. And that's why title insurance is very important, because we do see those kind of things happen from time to time.
Wow.
So I guess the importance of doing it as soon as possible is because if there is an issue, then you're not sitting there waiting to close until the issue's resolved.
Exactly.
You're probably going to do that anyway, but it's going to speed up the process.
It'll speed up the process, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because most of the time what we see is, you know, in situations is like possibly like I'll throw out a couple of red flags. It's like a divorce situation. If there's a divorce and everything like that, as a title company, we need to know, and closing, we need to know, are they both signing the listing agreement, or is the one quit claiming it to the other? And 9 times out of 10, we do not, the quitclaim deeds are never recorded. So therefore, the title is going to show us, the deed to the property is going to show us that they're both on the title, on their deed, but then yet they're divorced. So who's selling the property? So we're looking at it from that aspect and trying to like get all the documentations ahead. So we may have to ask them, do they have a quitclaim deed? And most of the time they do. It's just that they put it, you know, put it off in their paperwork and everything, and they'll provide it to us.
Okay.
You know, for closing.
Melissa has a question for you. I'll pop it up. What is the most common title issue?
Oh, the most common. Oh, goodness. Mortgages. You know, a lot of times the common issues that we'll see is like where they'll take out their first mortgage, and then all of a sudden there, you know, pops up that they may have refinanced, and then that first mortgage is still showing. It doesn't mean that mortgage wasn't paid off or anything like that, but they may refinance like several years later, but that old mortgage is still showing there. And so sometimes what we find is that it's difficult, like if that mortgage company has gone out of business or anything, or they've sold off, then we have to track down who that other mortgage company is so that we can help them to get a release. So getting a release of that mortgage that's showing up out there, because it looks like they have 2 mortgages, but they actually have just the 1 mortgage, you know, so. I'd probably say that.
Can you tell us what the differences are between a lender's policy and an owner's policy? And do most home buyers need to purchase both?
Yes. I would highly suggest that you definitely get an owner's and a lender's at the same time. And if you're closing simultaneously, it's really less expensive. So, you know, you want to make sure that you have protection, the owner does as much as the lender does. But owners, it's self-explanatory. It is a title insurance that protects you and your family and your house for future loss if covered, you know, by a claim. So you want to make sure that you have owner's title insurance. Lenders is lender's insurance, which is basically just for them. And so they're going to protect their investment because they're loaning the money. So they're, it's self-explanatory too. It's like, it's to protect them. Okay. So that's why there's the 2 different policies. But again, like I said, if you're closing and you're getting a loan, you get those simultaneously, and the expense of it is reasonable.
Okay, perfect. Well, we have a few more people signing in today. Roxy Kelly, we'll say top of the morning to Roxy. That's what she always says to us. Alan Young, so sweet. Alan says, Gayle and South Oak are awesome. They've done 2 closings for us, both flawless.
Thank you.
Giving you a great shout out. And then Cindy Edmonds has a shout out for you as well. She said, I close with South Oak more than anyone, and they always do a great job. Closed with them yesterday on one of my personal houses.
Thank you, Cindy.
And Cindy has a quick question. She said, can you tell us about reissue credit?
Yes, thank you, Cindy. That's a good question. If you have your owner's policy, if your client has their owner's policy, all we need is a copy of that policy in order to be able to look at that, review it, and then be able to determine if you're getting a reissue credit. And most of the time it is the case. I mean, you know, we need the actual policy, not a title commitment, because that's 2 different things. But the policy itself, all I need is a copy of every single page, and then we can give a reissue credit. And what that means is that we only have to go back to the date of the effective date of that policy and come forward in our search. So it helps save time and money because we don't have to go all the way back to dirt. We call it to dirt because back into the, you know, to the files. But anyway, so, and then we can pass along the savings to them. So everyone that is listening, keep your owner's policy. If you're refinancing or you're purchasing, make sure you give a copy of that, to your realtor or to your lender, and it helps save you some money.
Make sure you know where that's at. That's one of those things that when you get ready to sell, you're like, I have no clue where I put that. So it's important to keep track of all that stuff.
Right. Real documents, that's.
Well, Gayle, how long does title insurance protect you?
Oh, goodness. As long as you own the property.
Okay.
As long as you and your heirs, so.
You had talked about.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. Well, that's an important answer,
as long as you own the property. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always keep it.
Yeah. Hang on to it. So you had talked about before that 1 in 4 transactions end up coming up with some sort of issue. You had talked about mortgage is kind of that number one issue. What are some of the other concerns or issues for another? We'll just keep saying issue to say it lightly, but what are some other things that you come across that prevent a closing from going smoothly?
Well, a lot of times it's just communicating that who's going to be there for the closing. A lot of times you'd be surprised how many times we show up. At the closing, then you'll ask, well, where is Mr. Seller here? And all of a sudden we learn that, he couldn't be there, or that, believe it or not, we have even gotten it where, he's deceased. And we don't know it to the last minute. And then all of a sudden we're having to put the brakes on because it's like, whoa, wait a minute, because we got to start over again on getting documentation and searching again, getting the will or getting the death certificate and things like that. So that's why I said it was important, working with a realtor, so that we talk about those things, because they're the ones that are sitting with their clients at the table or at their kitchen table when they're doing the listing agreement. And a lot of times they say things. They'll say oh, well, my husband passed away a year ago or 6 months ago or something. Well, that right there is a red flag. It's okay, now we know that there is a deceased, the husband's deceased, and that we need the will and the death certificate, and we need to know if they probated the will, so there's lots of questions that we have to ask there. And then the other is power of attorney. Sometimes there's the case where the wife or the husband cannot be at the closing, whether or not they're on the selling side or they're on the purchasing side. So we need to know that ahead, because they're going to have a power of attorney. So, and the power of attorney has to be reviewed by the title company. So we need that as soon as possible so that we can run that through and make sure that it is specific for the sale of that property. So those are a couple of things.
Okay.
Very important.
I never was aware of.
Yeah, very important.
All the stuff going on behind the scenes and nobody even knows. That's why we have you here telling us. Thank you. So if you have a pro tip, what is something about the closing process that many people may not be aware of?
About the closing process. Basically, it's just communicating all of the things that are going on, as far as the seller needs, communicating with their agent that sometimes they'll take the listing and everything, and they may not tell them. They may say, I've got a mortgage, and then, okay, you've got a mortgage, one mortgage or something like that. Then all of a sudden we may find out on down the road that there is an equity line. So as we're going along, and then all of a sudden in the title search, we find that there's an equity line. Well, then that's got to be taken care of. That has to be paid off, closed. Even if they're not using it or anything like that, it's just been sitting there, just in case they needed that equity line, it still needs to be closed. And then we have to get a kill letter from the bank saying that is closed out. So that's something that's very important. Again, like I said, power of attorneys, is a lot of times we get those last minute. And the sooner we know that someone is not going to be present at the closing, then the quicker, the better. We've just got to know that so that we can prepare, for that.
Wow, so much. So many things to do. How long does a title search typically take? It sounds like you have so much to go over and cover.
Well, typically, I would say not in COVID time, because COVID time has definitely put us back a little bit on, as far as time and getting the title work out and processing through the closings sometimes. But because the courthouses are not always, they're not open. They're only open certain days or certain hours and things like that. So it slows down that search sometimes. So typically 2 to 3 days. If it's in county, if it's out of county, we always usually say give us a week, for for the title search and everything. And then, but again, like I said, during COVID time, it may take a little bit longer, but those are about the normal.
Okay, perfect.
You had touched on before about the red flags, and you love to teach and train and talk to younger agents. And one of the things that you tell them is what to listen for. So can you expand on that of when you're signing the listing agreement, what are some important things to ask in that process that can let you know that there might be some potential red flags?
Yes. Thank you. That's a very good one there. Well, it would be, again, like as you're taking that listing agreement, you're listening to them, is listen out for things that they say, whether or not, again, there is a death of a spouse or anything. Did you inherit this property? Is it an estate situation? So who's the executor? Because we need to know who the executor is of that. Plus, that's also the agent needs to know it as far as like signing the listing agreement. This is the estate of and John Smith, and executor is, John E. Smith, so maybe the son or something. So those are the things that we need them to pay attention to. And then also let us know as a title company really early so that we can go ahead and do the research and let us know whether or not it's probated. Did they probate the will? If not, we need a copy of the will. We need a copy of the death certificate. And also to ask them for a copy of their title policy if they have that, because that also is very helpful. Again, like I said, for many things other than the fact of a reissue credit, it also can help us if there is a lien or a judgment that was showing prior to, so that we can say, okay, it was here, they missed it here, but we're seeing it here. I know this is kind of hard to, maybe explain or something, but it does help to save time and money, and it also helps to clear title issues a lot of times. So it's good for us to have a copy of the policy. Other indicators, basically, if it's a divorce, again, like I said, ask those questions. Are you both signing the listing agreement? Or, is it just you? If so, do you have a quitclaim deed? So those are the things that help us a lot. If not, then we have to get a copy of the divorce decree. So,
awesome. And
I love to train on those kind of things, because to me, it's like, agents, especially new, I love to like work with new agents and talk to them about title insurance, the importance of it, the things to look for, to listen for when they're taking a listing, and also if they're working with their buyers, they also need to know that title is clean, and that there's not going to be any problem, holdups, with the closing, because neither side wants that. They want to go through the process and get all the way to the closing and everything be the least amount of problems as possible.
Wow, it could be a real mess.
Hey, listen, it's a team. It's a team of people. It's unreal how many people are involved in the circle of the real estate transaction. It begins with a realtor, and then you've got the lender involved, you've got the title involved, and you've got the attorney involved. And then it goes on and on and on, because you've got your inspection, the inspector is involved. And so you think about if there's going to be a survey, you got a surveyor involved. So think about all of those people that are involved in one transaction.
Yeah.
And you're all working together as a team. So that's why the agents, their role is so important, and keeping everything together, and the process moving along.
Absolutely.
To reiterate the importance of doing the preliminary title work as soon as possible, you had shared with us a story about an estate situation where there was no deed of record. Would you mind sharing that with the audience?
Okay. Yes, this one was I was asked by the agent to help her and her client get through this estate situation that came about. Her parents had died. The property was like from the 1940s, and her parents had died, and then her brother took over as the executor of the estate. Well, she went through the process of not one brother passing away, but both of her brothers passed away. So when she ended up being the executives and having to handle the estate, they had an offer on the property, and they he wanted the property real bad. The purchaser did. So he was willing to wait until all of the title issues and we could get all of that worked out. And so when we were doing the title search, we found that there was a break in the chain of title. Well, it happened to be that the break was the very original deed from 1940, the 1940s. So as we were doing the search and everything and finding this out, we had to refer her to a attorney that does quiet title action, because the title company, we don't do quiet title actions. That is a specific another attorney that does that kind of thing. And so we provided the title research to him, and then he went through the process of doing everything he needed to do. And so they had to petition the court actually for her to get the deed for the title. And so it just goes to show that we never know if there's going to be a break in the chain. That's what we look for when we're doing our research. And so we just have to work with them through the process. It took 6 months, but at the end of those 6 months, she was one happy seller, one happy buyer, because they finally got it done. In fact, she had tears of joy, and it just made my heart feel so good to think that you just take time with someone. Most title issues, I really haven't seen title issues actually that can't be worked out. They just may take a little longer, and everybody just has to understand that and be patient with it as we go through the process.
Perfect. Well, we have Andy Enderkin who's joining us. He said good morning.
Good morning.
We also have Sean Troughton. He has a question, but you probably have to explain to us what a mechanical lien is first. But he's asking you're like, oh boy. So he says, if I have a mechanical lien on the property, what happens if they refuse to pay what is owed?
Oh, if you have a mechanical lien on the property and they refuse to pay what's owed? Well,
off to court.
That was, off to court, because you filed a lien, a mechanic's lien, and it's attached to the property, so it's going to be a problem on down the road. I would say that it's not going to go away, because if it's attached to the property, it's there, and so whoever that mechanic's lien is attached to, that property it's attached to, they will have a problem until it's paid, because they can't refinance without, taking care of that, or they can't sell, without clearing that. So I would say, Sean, it's there.
Like Kelsey said, off to
We'll
court.
get paid sooner or later, or off to court.
One way or another, if somebody's got to pay it.
One way or another.
Well, I love your slogan. I'm sorry, what?
I had one that it was a long time ago, but it was a mechanic's. It was someone did not pay the painter. It was the seller did not pay the painter what the bill was. He paid him what he thought he was worth, what the job. He didn't like the work that he did, so he only paid him, this amount. Say $100 versus $200. Just throwing that out. And so when it came to sell it, he couldn't sell it. That was out there. that lien was out there. And so it was a judgment. And so he had to take care of it. So not only did he pay him at that time what he thought he was worth, but guess what? He paid him what the bill was, like at the closing. So actually the painter made a little bit more because of that. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. It makes your head spin, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's why we have you. Your slogan is "I'm never too busy for you." I think that's so awesome. Tell us what's the meaning behind that, and what does it mean to you?
Oh, goodness. For me, it means that I'm never too busy to listen to you. I may be on the phone or I may be on a call at that time or anything like that. And I have to call you back, but I want you to know that I'm there for you. Just leave me a message. You got to leave me a message though, to know that I, call you back. A lot of times I'll see a message come up and I'll text back and I'll text real quick and say, I'm so sorry. I'm on the phone right at this moment. Can I call you back in about 15 minutes or something like that? But it's important to be available for the realtor, the lenders, and everybody in this transaction because everybody's needing something. And a lot of times it may be kind of quick. They've got to have things quick. So it's just being available and getting back to people.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, which believe me, that's not a trait that everybody has. So it's hard. It's more valuable than you would think.
Sometimes I'm even sending a message and I'll say, okay, Jennifer, can you take this one? That's why I said the team's so important because it's like help, like it's calling one of our closers and closing coordinators and saying, hey, can you answer this question for them or stuff like that? But it's really just kind of like, if without the team, oh my goodness, one person can't do it all. It takes all of us. It's a team.
Yeah, and you need to have an A team, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap it up, I just wanted to touch on is who would be the best referral partners for you? And Kelsey is going to pop up all your contact information. And in doing so, I just want to ask you that. And is there anything that we didn't cover today that you wanted to touch on?
I don't think so. I think y'all asked some good questions. Great questions and everything. Just call me. Call us at South Oak Title. We're here for you.
For those of you on the podcast that want Gayle Mason's contact information, she is again with South Oak Title. You can email her at gayle.mason@southoaktitle.com. She spells her name GAYLE.MASON@southoaktitle.com. You can reach her directly at 205-283-7698 or call her Birmingham office at 205-983-8100 and visit her website, callgaylemason.com.
Thank you.
If you need more title tips, feel free to follow her on Facebook at Gayle Mason Title Rep. She posts, I think it's Red Flag Fridays, and you give constant tips for realtors and other people that need your services. So it's a great resource.
Yes.
Yes, it definitely is. And she gives a lot of great information on that page. So make sure that everybody goes likes it and follow her tips. Well, we're going to have some fun now, Gayle. Okay. It's time for the hot seat. Okay. All right. We only give you 60 seconds. And Kelsey has our timer? All right. So I'll just ask you some simple questions. You just pop out what comes in your mind or how you want to answer. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Rap or opera?
Oh, neither one.
Fast food or homemade?
I prefer homemade.
Taylor Swift or Beyonce?
Hey.
Taylor Swift.
Are you a night person or a morning person?
I'm both. I kind of like it. Yeah.
Sweating or shivering?
Ooh.
Oh. I think shivering. I can put clothes on. I can't take them off.
Do you like winter or summer?
Oh, winter.
Goldfish or Cheez-Its?
Cheez-Its.
Flowers or candles?
Oh, flowers.
City or farm?
Oh, I'm a city girl, I guess.
Well, that was painless, wasn't it? You did great.
I like to visit farms.
Okay. You're like me. I'll visit, but don't keep me there, please.
Can I go back real quick and say who the referral partners are?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I didn't say that, but it would be real estate agents. It would be bankers. It would be credit unions. It would be commercial. We're a full service title company, so it's anything with residential, commercial. That we do. We do refinances. Working with the lenders, and so anyone in that circle, that real estate circle is like a good referral.
Okay. Well, perfect. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us today, Gayle. We really had a great time, and there was so much great information.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. And we want to remind everybody to join us Tuesday at 8 a.m. for our marketing mix segment. And then next Friday for Biz Talk at 8 o'clock, where we have special guest Christy LaRochelle of KP Studios. So until then, we will see y'all next time.
Bye.